which we are about to air for the first time in a moment, shows a key longtime Trump advisor planning and clearly promoting the idea of pushing electors to override the state results in places Trump lost, to steal the race from Biden. And that's not all. This new video, obtained exclusively by The Beat, will add new information to the timeline of how early Trump advisors and allies were exploring these plots, which went on very infamously to run all the way through the January 6th certification process. Now, you may recall the electors plot is one of the schemes that spans from Trump's early efforts in the states to wider national efforts to create confusion about the results, and they went all the way up to Mike Pence, all the way up to a attempted, ultimately thwarted pretext that was going to be presented to Pence to try to help stage a coup on Jan 6. In essence, it involved either installing completely fraudulent fake electors, and we saw some of those meetings, or getting states to appoint Trump electors in the states that Biden won or was winning and try to send those to Congress. Unlike some of the other plots that we've covered, this one's already at the center of 3 different cases, including indictments by DOJ's Jack Smith, plus the probes in Michigan and now Georgia, where DA Fani Willis just charged several Trump lawyers and aides for these types of plots as part of the larger RICO conspiracy. That is why this scoop, tonight's video, may be of interest in the 2 big cases led by these tough prosecutors who mean business.
The defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result.
Conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. It was fueled by lies.
We look at the facts, we look at the law, and we bring charges.
Now, Jack Smith's DOJ indictment charges one person, defended Trump, for the coup conspiracy and then cites these other co-conspirators. They might be charged later. They might not. Willis's indictment charges Trump and 18 others. It also names further co-conspirators who might be charged later and might not. Both of those cases, conspiracy and racketeering, treat these elector efforts as part of the larger criminal plot. And we know Trump aides were pushing versions of this out in the states as early as November 18th, 2020. Now indicted Trump aide Ken Chesebro put the plot in writing in an early December memo. Now indicted Rudy Giuliani led a process that got Trump fans to lie, to pretend they were electors around mid-December. And some of those people have been charged, as mentioned. Others have provided testimony. The key point is the when. Many of those efforts that have been documented that we know about were picking up steam by early December. And the who, because top Trump aides and lawyers have been identified in the elector fraud process, like Giuliani, as mentioned, Boris Epstein, who has not been charged, Kenneth Chesebro, who I mentioned there. And there's another longtime Trump aide, someone who worked with Trump actually longer than any of the 3 people you see identified on your screen. And that brings us to the new tape, the new evidence I'm about to play for you, because there's a clue here about involvement by another individual who, according to what we can glean from both of those speaking indictments, has not been as firmly linked to these plots, though he was notably seen in Washington with Trump allies and some militias on January 6th. The person that I'm talking about in this video is a former Nixon aide, a self-described dirty trickster and longtime Trump advisor, Roger Stone. We identify him here for the first time in this plot tonight based on the hard evidence, not some tip or secondhand hearsay. So with the calendar and legal context in mind, we turn to the scoop. We're now going to play for you so you may listen to this new exclusive video edited for clarity as Roger Stone works with an associate to dictate his plans and arguments for how they had a plan as early November. That's how early this was, in states that Biden won or was winning, where Republican politicians would try to, quote, as Stone puts it, send in electors who reflect President Trump's, quote, victory.
although state officials in all 50 states must ultimately certify the results of the voting in their state, the final decision as to who the state legislatures authorize be sent to the Electoral College is a decision made solely by the legislature. Any legislative body may decide on the basis of overwhelming evidence of fraud to send electors to the Electoral College who accurately reflect the president's legitimate victory in their state, which was illegally denied him through fraud. We must be prepared to lobby our Republican legislatures by personal contact and by demonstrating the overwhelming will of the people in their state, in each state, that this may need to happen.
That occurred and was caught on video November 5th, 2020. It is new to the world right now tonight. Stone dictated that extreme plan, as you saw there, to his associate on the computer. And it was not only earlier than some of those other Trump figures' plans I mentioned, some of which, of course, are now part of indictments and looming trials. Let me make a clear point about this exclusive here on The Beat tonight. That was before the presidential race had even been called for Biden. Now, this is important. Take a look. Stone pushing the elector plot, as you just saw with your own eyes, all the way back on November 5th, 2020. That's a shot of the video on the left that we just have broken here as news tonight. Now, people had voted, but the race had not even been called. It was actually 2 full days later, November 7th, 2020, when the numbers and the nonpartisan outlets called Biden defeats Trump for White House. That timeline hurts the Trump defense that we've heard so much about, that these individuals pushing these plots were acting in a good faith belief they had won. Indeed, this particular piece of evidence, this video, shows quite the opposite for Stone. He was pushing the plot not because he believed Trump had won or was looking at numbers or looking at the results as they were called, which hadn't happened yet. No. Regardless of the results that were not even in, he was already pushing this plot. Stone's words on video were early, a month before now indicted Ken Chesebro penned the memo outlining the plot, long before Rudy Giuliani, now indicted, was recruiting those people. The video that you just saw is by Danish documentarian Christopher Gulbrandsen. As mentioned, we just aired it for the first time. Now, the video and the other information available does not address if or how Stone took any actions beyond what he said there. In other words, was he just talking? Was he just writing? Or did he also join what Jack Smith calls a conspiracy? We know some other individuals who did more things along these lines are unindicted co-conspirators to the DOJ or indicted racketeering co-conspirators down in Georgia as of this week. I can tell you Roger Stone's representative declined to comment on this new video and story when reached by MSNBC today.